Take two. So I love being shadow banned. Thank you so much, Facebook. You're awesome. Not. So anyway, good morning. This is my first of many health hacks that we're going to do. And I know that the last one was not public. So because when I went live, Facebook buried it, which was really nice. And I didn't even know that I did anything. So here we are back again. And today we're going to be talking about all the things that are now bad that used to be good, and all the things that are good that used to be bad. So it's kind of interesting, and we're going to relate this to health. So I'm back. I'm glad to be back. I missed you guys. I want to talk today, just about some health topics, and I'm going to do this every Wednesday. Then I'm going to give you more opportunities to learn if you want to. Otherwise, you can just stay here and follow me on my page on Wednesday mornings. If this blesses you or blesses anybody else, feel free to share it. It's really important that we get information out. So, I don't want to focus on, the biggest thing in the world right now, because we didn't get there because we're so healthy. We got there because we've been lied to for so long and indoctrinated for so long that now this big bad virus that's floating around is killing everybody. And that's really not the case. And I noticed that people are talking about masks, they're talking about mandates, and that's awesome. And I want them to keep doing that. My focus is going to be on health. I want you guys to realize that there are ways that you can get out of susceptibility, that you can enhance your health, and that you can help your family members. And so share this with them because it's going to be really important. So first, I want to talk about how did we get here, right? So I think the indoctrination pathway really started with demonizing certain things that were good. I don't know if you guys know that most medical schools, taught homeopathic medicine before pharmacology. And I'm not demonizing pharmacology. Although if you read your Bible, well, anyway, but there is a time and a place for it. And I think we've really misused it, right? Who was that first doctor talked about hydroxychloroquine and what happened to him? How did that come about when a doctor took it upon himself and was like, hey, you know what? This could work for this big bad thing that's floating around. And he off-labeled it and he used it for something else and it actually worked. And what happened? Everyone jumped on him and demonized him, right? So it was like, no, we can't do that. Let's pull all of that off the market. The same thing has kind of happened with nutraceuticals. It's happened with food. And I look around and I see all these fads out there and I'm like, you know what? We're doing it wrong. So let's talk about some of the most simple things, right? Food. How many people look at food as the enemy? We have to control it, calorie restrict it. Carbs are bad. Fat is bad. We need more protein, more fat. And while for some people that may be true, that is not the absolute one way. It's why there's 10,000 diet books out on the market, because there's no one way for everybody. But what God said, right, biblically, is that if it creates life and can reproduce, then that potential to recreate life and reproduce in you is there. So the very first lie is you have to be eating food. And if it comes in a box, bag, can, or bottle, that's not food. That's a product. Okay. And it's going to cause systemic inflammation in your body because your body doesn't know what it is. Your body identifies with nutrient base, minerals, probiotics, enzymes, amino acids, and essential fatty acids. And then you actually have to be able to assimilate those nutrients, right? If you're not eating real food, you're already sick. That's the very first. Now let's add a next layer to that, right? So we know that food grows from the ground, falls from a tree, runs in a field, swims in the ocean, and flies in the sky. Tree, ground, run, swim, fly. If it comes from those sources, it's food. It can reproduce life on its own. It'll reproduce life in you, right? All right, second, let's add the next layer. What happened to our food sources, right? What was demonized? What was lied to? Well, first, we couldn't feed the whole world with all the food we had. So we had to genetically modify it. We had to make sure that we could create enough of it and it would last and be sustained, although we throw away like 40 billion tons of fresh produce every year because it's not pretty enough. Those are the ugly fruits and vegetables. We can't sell them to the Americans because Americans like pretty. So we've demonized the way fruits and vegetables actually look. We've lied about the fact that we can't sustain the world with the amount of food we have because we now need to take these extra measures. And then we've depleted our soil so much and the pH and the mineral balance of our soil that bugs now attack our food when it's growing. So we have to spray it with glyphosate and all these things. And then they further genetically modify the bugs so that the glyphosate doesn't hurt them. But guess what? They forgot to genetically modify us. And so now when we eat those plants and crops that are loaded with chemicals and pesticides and nutrient deficient and minerals and at the wrong pH, we can't get any nutrition from it. So we've lied about how we have to produce food and grow food and really what food is. And we've demonized organic farmers and people that drink raw milk with living probiotics and enzymes. We called them crazy. We'll put the fear of listeria on that. We can go down this path over and over and over. And what all of this has done, all of these lies up till now, is created this systemic inflammation in our body because our body has no idea what you're eating. It has no idea what those chemicals are. Oh, and then we had to make food prettier because it just wasn't pretty enough. So it wasn't sweet enough. So we had to add artificial sugars and dyes because it wasn't colorful enough and kids wouldn't like it, right? So we've lied about our food sources, and that's the enemy, guys. He's going to come in, he's going to lie. He's trying to take us out through food because we actually have to eat it, right? And then we don't work the land anymore as we're commanded in the Bible. When God kicked out Adam and Eve from the Bible and from the Garden of Eden, he said, now you work the land. What do? We go shopping at a grocery store. We don't grow our own food. So by the time that stuff hits the grocery store, it's pre-picked before it's ripe. And you need vine ripe to have all those nutrients in there. It's put on your shelves and then you go buy it. So we've demonized all these food sources. We told the world we can't feed you. We throw away more produce probably than we give out. And we put chemicals all over our food in the name of health. So that's the very first lie that came out. The second lie was then we used that entire mentality to pit food against you. And then we got on this whole fitness game. So let me just preface this whole statement with I'm a trainer. I have a degree in exercise and sports science, a bachelor's of science from Penn State, and I also have a minor in food science nutrition. I was a personal trainer. I have nothing against personal trainers. You guys are awesome, but you can't burn fat. Okay. So I want you to take that, just throw that verbiage out of your mouth. It's physiologically wrong and biochemically wrong. Not even possible to burn fat. By the age of 20 to 22, you have a set number of fat cells in your body. You determine how big or small they get. And guess what? They get bigger when you're putting things in your body that your body doesn't know what it is, because fat tissue is a natural detoxifier. In fact, adipocytes, right, which is what little fat cells are called, are so smart that they're actually their own organ system. They have their own macrophages and T cells, so that's an immune system. They have their own mitochondria for ATP production, which is why fat has more energy than carbs and protein, right? So these are actually good guys. And what did we do? We've demonized them. We're like, guys, fat is bad. You have to go starve yourself and eat these processed products and packaged food systems so that you can lose fat because it's bad. It was kind of like dandelions. We did the same thing there, right? If dandelions are all over the place, don't you think they might have a purpose? Do you know dandelions are exceptional for digestion? They're wonderful for lymphatic health. They have so much vitamin A in them. I mean, they're really good for you. But what did we do? Oh, we demonized them. We got to go spray them and kill them and treat our ground. Do you know that most of the bees love dandelions and will pollinate from them? So what's happening to our bee population? Guys, think. If God put something everywhere, it's probably good for you. So the other thing is fat is everywhere, right? It's on your butt, it's on your thighs, it's part of your brain, it's what your brain is made of. And so we really need good fat. We need fat everywhere. That's why it surrounds your organs. That's why it's called essential fat. We have visceral fat, we have all kinds. Now what happens is our fat cells get too big, right? They get too big. And when they do that, they actually start what's called a pro-inflammatory cytokine storm. You guys heard of this. We've talked all about this in the virus, right? Pro-inflammatory cytokine storm. We couldn't shut it off. These people died. There's no way that we can overcome this virus. Well, they became susceptible to it because their cells and immune system were repressed because they already had a pro-inflammatory cytokine storm going on because they were overweight, or they had a comorbidity, or they had a diagnosis of something like diabetes, or they were on multiple medications that decreased ATP production in their body and cellular regeneration. They were already sick. And then we added on top of it this big bad virus, and we were like, well, it's going to kill everybody. Guys, if you really want to get healthy, if you really want to be protected and build a fortress of health, you have to start with your own terrain. It's not going to come from the outside. A mask isn't going to protect you. There's numerous studies on there, and people talk about that all the time. Go watch the mask people. They have the science, okay? A vaccine is not going to protect you. It's not going to make your chronic inflammation go down. It's not going to increase your nutrient density, Okay. It's not going to decrease your inflammation overall. It's not going to make you less toxic. And in fact, it's going to do the reverse of all those things. It's going to create chronic systemic inflammation because you're adding another level of toxicity into your body. Not to mention all the ingredients that are in there. They've never been tested for safety, but now we're doing an mRNA. And if you go watch Dr. Sherry Tenpenny's video on how that works in your body, it's frightening. It's going to create chronic systemic inflammation in people. And if you already have that, if you're already on medications, you're already 10 to 15 pounds overweight, you're susceptible. So my whole point to this lecture is you have more control over your health by taking accountability and by reducing systemic inflammation, increasing nutrient density, and decreasing toxicity in your body. You will be safer and healthier, according to numerous studies, than trying to inject health through a needle or masking up every single day. So we have to start taking our health back. And as healthcare professionals, we have to start teaching people about their bodies and stop making them afraid, right? That's what we do as healthcare professionals. We have to come in and say, listen, there is hope. There is hope. You have an immune system. It works. If you take care of yourself. We can't lie to them and say, take this pharmaceutical, or, hey, enough vitamin C, D, and A is going to keep you safe. Does it help? Absolutely. But if you're 15, 20 pounds overweight, don't you think it would help more if you filled other nutrient gaps like B vitamins and zinc and all of the other minerals? Don't you think it would help more if you reduce toxicity in your food by eating more whole food, tree, ground, run, swim, fly, organic, non-genetically modified? Would that help you more? Absolutely. It's going to decrease that systemic inflammation. So guys, there's not just one way to health, okay? It's a journey. We didn't get into this position because we all did the right things. Our bodies respond to the environment you put it in. It's not meant to be sick. You're not born with all these diseases. But what do? An infant pops out perfectly healthy and beautiful, and we inject it with disease. I mean, what kind of model is this? Think, guys, think. Right? So, I mean, Hep B, really? Anyway, so my point is, I want you guys to start learning about the body. What is fat? Fat is an incredible structure in your body. And I just started with that today because I just did a lecture in Tampa at a professional training event where I teach doctors integrative care. I teach them how to use nutraceuticals in their practice because there is a time for pharmaceuticals and there is a time for nutraceuticals. And sometimes it's the same time. And most of the time it's the same time. If you're taking a statin, you're depleting CoQ10. So guess what you should take with that? CoQ10. Lots of studies on that, right? So just think for a minute, how can you optimize your health? What can you do to reduce systemic inflammation? What can you do to shut off that pro-inflammatory cytokine storm? Many opportunities coming up to learn, and I'm happy to teach you. So there's a professional training event in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania coming up April 10th. It's only 2 hours from where I live. It's probably only 2 or 4. Drive in, come see us. We're going to be talking about breaking the contagion myths. We're going to go over all of this. How is viruses transferred? What is our exosomes, right? What about bacteria? What's our immune system do? How does it work? What's innate? What's adaptive? It's great for you to learn. Come in. You can sign up. I put the link in the header. The second thing is we have a 90-day group starting with 5 experts. Judy Mikovits, Dr. Len Branslewitz, who is a PharmD and an ND-MD, myself, Michelle Kunselman, who's an ND, and Ashley Rossi, who's a nutrition specialist and an ND. It's 90 days. It's for both lay people and practitioners because you're going to learn, but you're also going to be going through this program so that you can apply it to yourself, so then you can teach it to other people. The best and most powerful stories are me stories, okay? The third thing is locally, if you live where I live, right, and I live in Tyrone, PA, I have a local lecture series coming up at Quest Haven Lodge. So join that. Why not? So I hope this little lecture blessed you. I hope you pass it to people. I hope that you understand that you have more control over your health. This is just the beginning of what we're going to do together. Today, guys, reduce systemic inflammation in your body. Start to drink more water. Start to take antioxidants, things that are really going to help you. My favorite is Inflam. It's from Nutritional Frontiers. It's a great product. Start to reduce inflammation and toxicity. You know, I came up with a kit with Nutritional Frontiers. It was called Remove Complete. It has Power Cleanse, which is a shake, and Lean Greens. And both of those things reduce inflammation, they help increase nutrition, and they help detoxify the body through phase 1 and phase 3 detoxification of the liver. It's a superfood, chelator, emothion, glutathione, all the great ion words that you love to say in health, right? You can do that. It's just so important that we start to take our health back, not only as, healthcare professionals, but to really emphasize that nutrition and health, you're not going to get it from a pill or a needle. You can't out-medicate or out-supplement a bad diet anymore. We're too sick. So we have to start with nutrition first, the foundations: nutrition, hydration, movement, sleep, elimination, and emotional wellness. And then we build that house of health on top, whether it's nutraceuticals, whether we're doing specific targeting things, but we have to start by building the foundation first. So guys, today, drink more water, go for a walk. It's going to be beautiful outside if you live in my area, right? Try to go to bed a little earlier tonight. Make sure you take some time for your emotional wellness. Pray, talk, do what you need to do to decompress and calm down. The worst thing that you can't outrun is your mind. It's always attached to your body, right? And make sure that you have a good elimination program, good, every single day. You need to be doing something that's going to help your body detoxify from all of the things around, all of the environment. Fat is good, guys, and we're going to learn a lot about that in the Metabolic Reset group. We're going to learn a lot about the immune system at the professional training event in Pittsburgh, and I'm going to help you guys reduce the risk locally and try to give back to my own community. So you guys have a blessed day. You're awesome. God loves you, and I hope to see you at one of our events. So check out the links that are in the header. All right, see you next Wednesday.